She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the sky. Oh, digger 420, curious Canuck, answers on your mind, never getting stuck.
Because, hello. How is everyone? Good to see you. It's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week already. This is awesome. Last week, it felt like I wasn't ready for it. I was behind, but today I feel like I'm right on time. It feels like it should be a Wednesday. So there's that. How is everyone doing? It is Wednesday, so it's chat with chat. You guys get to tell me what to talk about, ask your questions, mention a topic, or just whatever comes up, organically in the chat. That's what we'll talk about. Hello, MJ. How you doing? Hello, John. Good to see you. Thank you so much. That rocks. You're always here with that. That's awesome. Hello. MJ says, already did. Yep, you're good. You come in early. Saying hello to John and hello, Captain. How you doing? Good to see you. So yeah, middle of the week. I haven't really been paying too much attention to news. I feel like there really hasn't been a whole lot. I mean, after inauguration week, he's still doing great things, Trump, don't get me wrong, but it hasn't really been, a whole lot of news making. He's just doing what he said he'd do, which is kind of refreshing, actually, at the end of the day. So that's that. I mean, Canadian politics, everything's kind of up in the air. I think the Liberals have decided who they're going to choose for leader. Some dude named Mark Carney. Don't know a lot about him. What I do know is not particularly good, but it's the Liberal Party. So I'm not holding my breath for some wonderful Trump-like being to come in and take control of that party. I think our closest thing to Trump, as I've said before, is actually a guy named Maxime Bernier, because he's been speaking up for Canadian rights long before the flu that shall not be named. He was already standing up for rights that were being stomped all over. So I think he's the closest thing we have to Trump. That being said, he worked a long time. He worked in the EU and I believe the SCC. So he is, he's not clean. None of them are clean. They've all got people, that they're having to pay lip service to. So I don't think he's any different. Hello, Wild, over on the Rumble. Good to see ya. And hello, John said the confirmation hearings. Well, okay, that's true. Although I guess from my perspective, none of it's really a surprise. The Republicans have got so much control over, all the different arms. It's not really a surprise, at least in my opinion. I didn't think there was going to be any real pushback. The one, Pete Hegseth or Hegpeth, I don't know. It needed a tie vote. But other than that, I think it's kind of pretty much going as expected. Wild's coming in with the Trump flossing in the Rumble rant or Rumble chat. I love that. Not quite Santa twerking, but it's pretty darned close. I really like them. Captain saying alien gay frogs are now trans, which eat only gravy and pumpkin bread. In this day and age, that, which should just be a jumble of nonsensical words shoved together for no reason, that is actually possible. Even semi-plausible these days. They're doing ridiculous things everywhere around. in my place, there's been a very heavy ceiling for days. I couldn't see the top of the mountains, which I'm surrounded by. Um, so I couldn't even see the tops, and the ceiling is finally cleared. There's not a cloud in the sky, but a whole bunch of those um, tracer things in the sky are there. Oh, now I'm having a blank. I can't remember what they call them. The ones that are supposedly like tinfoil hatting it, the ones that are putting stuff into our atmosphere to slowly kill us and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a whole bunch of them going over my area. But then I also live underneath an air path, a pretty popular air path. So, you know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I guess. There have been a lot of black helicopters flying back and forth over my place. I don't know if they're gearing up for wildfire season here, or if that's supposed to be the new, what were they, Blackhawks or whatever that we bought? Blackhawks and drones that are supposed to protect our border from you. Because, you know, we have any hope in hell from protecting ourselves from you if you chose to come across. Like, I don't know. Anyways, okay, so no one's got anything to talk about other than the confirmation hearings. Like I said, I didn't do a whole lot of searching on or listening to the matter. I thought it was pretty standard. I didn't hear of any exciting things. Oops, there we go. Let's see. Chemtrails. Thank you, Captain. Chemtrails. I knew it was there, and it was going to finally make it from there to there as soon as I hit end stream. It's the chemtrails. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff flying over me. That being said, I haven't seen any weird car-sized drones as yet. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. And yeah, did you guys hear, kind of in the realm, we have a Canadian freighter that actually got iced in Lake Erie. It's kind of interesting. It doesn't happen that often. So it's kind of neat to be able to look at, you know, exactly what happens when, or how it happens, and how we can best work our ways back out of it. It's neat because it doesn't happen very often anymore. Here, I wonder if I can. Nope, not with that button. Here we go. There. So there you go. It's completely surrounded and iced in, and they've been carving it out for a couple of days now. Oh, ha ha ha. See, there's my tech gremlins. I promise there's no more hair in there. Don't clip that, please. I should have stuck to the still, right? However, I thought that was pretty neat. It's been a long time since it was cold enough to start catching freighter ships in the well, any of the Great Lakes, honestly. Wild saying, I did see a little of Kennedy and Elizabeth Warren that had some saucy banter. Okay. Bernie Sanders loses his mind over baby onesies. I saw that. So, yeah, ridiculous. They're just, they're trying to pick apart anything. I think at this point, all they can do is throw everything at the wall and just keep throwing stuff at the wall and you know, picking apart everything, hoping that, you know, maybe something will stick. They're losing, in my opinion. It looks like they're starting to lose mass media. Not completely, of course. I mean, we know what side they work for, but it does seem like they're starting to roll back the Trump derangement syndrome a bit. They can see which way the wind is blowing. So they can't be all hate, hate, hate this time, which is nice. I'm hoping it'll allow Trump to do some stuff he wasn't able to get done the first time round. Hello, Christine. How you doing? It's good to see you. But yeah, those the baby onesies are just stupid. I mean, really. Do we? Well, not we. It's not mine. But do you guys need your Congress arguing over what is written on a onesie? Like, is that the most important thing that your government should be focusing on at the moment? And the fact that they are is just, it's fun. I enjoy the ridiculousness of it all. Yeah. In the meantime, it's pretty much the same old over here. Chrystia Freeland is, I don't know if you guys know Chrystia Freeland. She's the one that does all the herky jerky. She can't sit still. She looks like she might be having a stroke at any given time during her press conferences. She is also the one who negotiated the Mexico, Canada, USA agreement that that did so well for you guys, America. You did you made out pretty good in that agreement. Chrystia Freeland's the one that did that to us or for us. So now she's running for leader as well. She's put her hat in the ring, and I guess she's not pulling it back out, which is kind of surprising. But she's going to slash the cabinet. She's going to do this, that, the other thing. We're going to get the party back on track. But that's never going to happen. The Liberals have gone so far in that direction. By any political graph that you would see from the 70s or even 80s, you can tell that they're not really liberal. Like it took me a long while as an adult. I couldn't understand what was going on because for a little while, I was a liberal. I would vote liberal. But I couldn't understand why they kept doing more and more things that I didn't agree with. And it's not like my basic moral compass and belief system has changed. It stayed pretty much the same. But if you look at the belief system of the Canadian Liberal Party as it is now, but you put it on a graph from 1970, say, political spectrum, they are not liberal. They are so far beyond liberal. It's insane. And it's very interesting how many people aren't aware of that, aren't seeing just how differently the party is acting, contrary to what they say they believe. But yeah, so there's no signs of DEI really going anywhere in Canada anytime soon. But again, that's not particularly surprising. Oh, wow, there's many of us who are boat nerds, Great Lakes freighters. Many YouTube channels have videos of the ships, some great drone footage too. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the things that I really loved about Legal Vice is his Maritime Monday streams were so great. He reminded me about Shackleton and his whole lifetime, his whole ordeal, and how he got his fame. It was a part of history that I kind of filed away, but you don't use it, so you forget it's even there. But yeah, he really did reignite my interest in historical boat crashes and troubles, for lack of a better word. It was really very interesting. And if it weren't for Vices, I would have no idea that degloving is a thing, nor would I know what it's disgusting. It's scary. Degloving only if you have got a strong stomach and you don't mind the gross stuff, then you can go look it up. But if you got a weak stomach, don't go looking up Degloving. But it's fascinating, the speed and the strength of one of those gigantic ropes when they do snap. It's amazing the power and just how quickly you can go from everything's fine to fuck me, we're all dead. Right? Hello, Tammy. How you doing? So yeah, I'm gonna miss, or I'm going to. I miss the Maritime Mondays. Oh, Wild, you're right. Plus, sailors are sexy. Sexy. That's right. That's very true. Now, I have seen some stuff about earthquakes hitting. Um, have any of you noticed any earthquakes hitting? They said that there was some happening on just off our coast as well. But again, they say it, but no one that I know who's living in the area has actually experienced any of these, um, you know, earthquakes and stuff. So I don't know. It's troublesome because now I can't trust anything, right? Because they lied about so much. Um, how can I trust them now? Especially if I have family and friends who live down there and live in supposed areas that were affected and they don't feel a thing. They don't even notice. Did it really happen? Or is this just more fear mongering with the climate stuff, right? I'm glad you're starting to do better. The voice will come slowly but surely, Tammy. You'll get it back. Okay, this had caught my eye just because it's the sort of the silliness that is Canadian politicians. Oh, now I opened that. I didn't want to open that. Thank you very much. We've got Doug Ford. Some of you may know him. He is the Ontario Premier. So basically governor of the province of Ontario. We just call them premiers. But he's he's decided that he is going to retaliate for the tariffs that Trump is threatening, which he still hasn't enacted, by the way. But Doug Ford figures he's going to stand up and he's going to, show a sign of solidarity for Canadians everywhere. He's decided he's going to make the liquor stores pull any American products off their shelves, which is, just silly. That's not going to really do anything except anger the people. Now, the liquor board, if you don't know, the liquor board in Ontario had their people had been on strike. The union had been on strike for a few weeks, looking for raises and this, that, and the other thing. I'm not going to get into it. I don't know too much. From the sounds of it, they've got a pretty skookum job as it stands, and they didn't necessarily need that minimum raise pay bump. But I don't know. I don't live there, so this is just what I was able to glean out of the news. I may be talking out my ass, and if that's the case and you know something about it, you tell me. But from my understanding, the union just wanted more money for nothing, more money for nothing, and it didn't end up working. But they've already had the trouble with them. Sorry. Don't you dare. But they've already had trouble with the liquor stores already. I believe it was through the summer. And now he's doing this. He's going to pull all the American brand liquors and beers off the shelves. I don't know who he's trying to pander to. He has also just triggered an election. And I really don't know what he thinks he's doing or where he's going with that, because he's not really done anything to win over his people. I mean, to be fair, he's doing way better for his province than his brother did back in the day. His brother, who had uh, very obviously sold out to the Hells Angels and was caught on camera smoking crack and this, that, and the other thing. He was quite the premier. That was Rob. This is now Doug Ford, the younger brother, but he came in and he's done really poorly. He sides with the federal government as much as he can. He's pushed you know, he pushed the lockdowns and the mandates and the sick leave policies. He was fine with police stopping people just randomly and asking, basically, do you have your papers? Why are you out right now? It's lockdown time. Um, yes, he spent. I like the way they worded it in this one too. He spent 225 million, or maybe it's 1.4 billion. The numbers keep changing to liberate drinkers from Depression era booze laws, even though it would have happened anyway if he just waited a year. That's like our federal government spending billions and billions of dollars on a gun buyback program that bought exactly zero guns back. Um, my government is very good for that. And like I said, Rob Ford kind of, or sorry, Doug Ford kind of followed Trudeau's lead in a lot of stuff. Now he's trying to backpedal a bit, but like I said, he's just been playing silly buggers with the booze, and you can't do that. You cannot take the booze away from the people, especially when everything is so costly. You can barely make rent, let alone afford your food and stuff. You can't take away the booze too. People need that. So his people are in general not particularly happy with them. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the election happens. I'm not even sure who would be running against him. He kind of called it suddenly. So we shall see. Let's see. Fires, earthquakes, all that's left is flooding things. Things are looking biblical. Yeah. Well, he said wars and rumors of wars and all sorts of tremblings and shakings. I see you. I see you and what you're doing. I am not going to do that because I am thick in most places, but I've saw someone else fall for that. But hi, welcome to the show. You live in Massachusetts, and there was another one the other day at 3.8. Now, did you actually experience it? Like, could you feel it, or are you just being told that it happened? Because that's my thing. I'm reading in the papers that these things are happening, but at least as far as it comes to BC, where I live, no one's actually feeling these things that are supposed to be happening. So I'm not sure how that works. See, it looks like my camera's going all herky-jerky again. Just, kind of par for the course. But let me see if I can get rid of some stuff. Do. All right. Better. Wild's using this is fine. This is fine. The meme sitting in the room that's on fire, just drinking his coffee. Dixie saying it was off the coast of Maine. Okay. Tammy says last one around her was on the 21st. There's been more than that. Okay. That's a fun name, Dixie. And thank you for trying. Oh, wild. Has Mr. Ford heard of Bud Light? Let's see how that goes. Well, yeah, he's a proponent of DEI type of things as well, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be just a tranny thing, just a gay thing, or the trans movement. He's just going to piss off all the rednecks and everyone too. Um, there's an awful lot of people who drink, and especially when times are tough, and times are tough over there for sure. Um, so yeah, he's pissing everyone off, not just the Rainbow Squadron. He's pissing everyone off. It's not going to work. That being said, like I said, his brother was premier for ages and ages, like years, even though there was video online of him smoking crack with Hell's Angels people. There was videos of him online, like snorting rails and stuff. There's like hour-long compilations of just him saying, "I'm sorry for dot dot dots." It's but he kept his position. He managed to keep the job. So you never know. They might just decide to keep Doug Ford anyways, even though they don't like any of his policies, because it seems to be what they do over there. Hello, Linda. How you doing? It's good to see you. Dixie says our government almost sent $50 million worth of condoms over to the Middle East. I heard about that too. That's if it weren't sad, it would be funny. And in fact, it's funny anyways. 'Cause, like, what are you thinking, people? What are you actually thinking? Who's going to hand those out there? How are they going to like? So many questions. It's so many questions. It's ridiculous. Are we handing them out to the people who live there? Or are we handing them out to our military people? Like, how many do you get? Just one per person? MJ, exactly. Yes, go ahead and piss off a whole lot of people that like to drink. Exactly. It seems like a rather, logical thing not to do, but he's doing it. Dixie says, I work in a quarry. I had 6 people call asking if we blasted. Oh, okay. So you did actually experience it. Well, that's good to know. They're not lying about everything. Dixie says, I work in Boston and we felt it. My house is right on the Rhode Island border and my fiance felt it. Okay, interesting. I'm over in BC. I'm actually central BC now. I grew up right on the coast though, so we moved down there in 87, and from the time we moved down there to now, they've been predicting the big one that's going to sink the islands and it's going to tear down all the bridges and you know the world's going to collapse. Vancouver's going underwater, but it's never happened. There's enough little ones that happen offshore that it hasn't actually been able to build up to the big one. But yeah, the little ones, like I said, of late, my friends and family who live out that way haven't noticed anything. They hadn't realized anything had happened. So, Linda, what do you think about Bob Menendez getting 11 years? At his age, that may be a death sentence. Um, Refresh me on the case. I haven't followed any legal cases for a while now. Menendez. See, all I can think of is the brothers, but neither of them was called Bob, I don't think. Let me see. Former senator, 11 years for bribery. Oh, I recognize his face. Okay. Oh, and his wife's going to be held for trial next. Sentenced to 11 years in prison after being found guilty on 16 federal charges, including bribery, extortion, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy to act as a foreign agent for Egypt. It's not one I think about very often. Prosecutors found that Menendez accepted bribes from 3 New Jersey businessmen, totaling only $150,000 in gold bars and cash. I mean, at the end of the day, for the risk he was taking, that's not a whole heck of a lot, is it? Non-public U.S. government information was being supplied to Egyptian officials and otherwise took steps to secretly aid the government of Egypt. He's also accused of accepting race car tickets and other gifts from Qatar in exchange for favors. It's not telling me how old he is. Come on, Wikipedia. Tell me. 71. So 82. Not necessarily. I guess he could. I mean, especially, I mean, look at who he is. He may very well have access to medical care that us average shows don't have. So he might make it. 11 years isn't. It depends on the 71-year-old. My folks are in their mid 60, 70, early 70s. My folks are in their early 70s. I'm glad I didn't finish that sentence. They're in their early 70s, and I'm expecting them to go for at least another 20 years. I mean, if I have anything to do with it. They're all fairly healthy and you know, active. So, not to mention, more likely than not, he's going to end up in a club fed, not an actual prison, you know? Oh, Wild's coming up with something here. I read that the condoms were being used to smuggle explosives and or improvised explosive devices. So there's no great birth control agenda, just more war skullduggery. Okay. That would make sense too. I was thinking drugs. You know, they've got all those biolabs down there. They need to move samples out. They can see which way that war is headed, right? They need to move their samples out of the biolabs and into wherever they're moving them into. So, yeah, but explosives and whatnot is just as likely at the end of the day. Oh, Squabob saying, poor Bob. Hello again, Squabby. Good to see you again. Yeah, it's hard to feel bad for folks like him, eh? Yeah. 11 years, but how long will he have to serve? Well, and that's another thing too. Yeah. Because they don't necessarily have to serve. They get their, you know, good behavior and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, is it just me, or is $150,000 not really all that much if he spent a career selling secrets to Egypt? I would expect he'd have made a lot more than $150,000. That seems very cheap. Or maybe because it's Egypt, they have less money, so it was going at a, you know, coupons or something, bargain rate. Linda says, having trouble texting. My folks both died at 77. Thought they'd last longer too. Yeah, I know. But in my mind, in a perfect world, they're going to be around for a while. MJ, or they get released. Well, that was funny. I was about to highlight a comment, and instead I managed to kick myself out of the whole stream into the background. That was very weird. Yes, or they get released early because of overcrowding. Exactly. Judge said he was making an example out of him. All right. Well, I mean, but I don't know, extortion and some of that I can see 11 years being enough, but the dude was selling secrets. He was selling federal secrets to a different government. I'm thinking that perhaps he deserves more. You know, we want to really make an example of him. That's, I agree with the judge, but I don't think 11 years is quite enough for an example, you know? Wild is saying Senator Menendez is the Clinton cabal of Democrats. Oh, they must have discarded him as a sacrifice. Self-deletion watch on him. Fair enough. Well, and that's kind of the thing with the Clinton cabal. I guess it's not just with that faction, but with a lot of them, when you sign on to do big world-changing things, I think it's a given that you're going to end up being taken out, and the potential is there for them to rewrite your entire story if they so desire, if it'll work for them in their favor. So I think everyone who works, especially with the Clinton, though, anyone who works with that group of people has got to expect they're going to end up self-deleted by a gunshot wound to the back of the head with their hands bound behind them, hanging from a tree. You just gotta go with expecting that's what's going to be your outcome and hoping different when you're working with folks like that. What's up, my digger? Hello, Brian. Hello, Sam. Good to see you both. MJ says he'd be surprised if he serves half the sentence. Well, yeah. And then, like I said, Club Fed too is not, it's not going to be a hardship for him. I don't think he's going to learn any lessons whatsoever. Even if he does end up with the self-deletion, that's kind of a given. And he's 71 years old. He's done a lot and he's been able to experience a really good life. So, is that going to hurt him at this point in time? I mean, it totally will if you believe in God and follow the Bible or, the Torah or something like that. But I have a feeling he's not really a religious type just based on his actions. So he's got one life to live and it sounds like he lived it pretty good. Scobby's saying, I'd say it's such a boomer, but I'd have to look in a mirror. See? Yeah. I think that enough boomers are, or rather, I think it's a term that's been taken over for all those. I don't think it's necessarily attached to a certain age group anymore, eh? Boomers, just anyone who doesn't know what they're doing with tech. Oh, Linda, she's saying Bob said that Trump is right and the case was political. Okay. Was he? I thought I had read that he was a Dem. Yeah, Clinton cabal. So if he's saying that Trump is right, maybe he's having an end of life epiphany, a changing of the heart. I think that Trump is to a certain extent. Hello, Lab Glass. How you doing? Can you dig it? Oh, I can dig it. Can you dig it? The Warriors is a great movie. Brian, I got my Vices mug in the mail today. You lucky son of a gun. I got my Vices t-shirt last week. And now that I got it, I realize I don't want to wear it because I'm going to ruin it. I don't want to, because I'm a girl. I've got boobs. I'm going to put, boob stretch marks over the prints. And I don't want to do that. So it may be something that I'm going to have to frame. I've got my my most cherished possession is a jersey that Pavel Bure wore during a practice, and then signed, and I won it, and it's my most prized possession. It could be either worth a fortune or worth not much at all. But I don't want to choose, or I don't care to find out which, because I don't care. It's mine. It's my jersey. And I've got plans to have it framed between two pieces of glass and like a wooden frame to hold it all together. But that way we can hang it from a hook and it can slowly spin through the day. So you can always see both sides of the jersey as opposed to just framing it and hanging one side. I really don't like that. I don't want to just look at the back with the signature. So yeah, I've got plans. It's going to look phenomenal when it gets done. I was thinking putting it right about there so it, hangs and it just kind of circles. But then I was thinking if I did that, I'd have to frame Vice's shirt and put it right about there. And that means I need at least one, if not 2 or 3 more people to come in and help me hold the ladder, because that's my stairwell of death. And it literally, it starts right there, and it's stairs of uneven depths and lengths, and it goes straight down to the front door right there. So you open the front door and there's the stairwell. There's no landing. There's no anything. So if I'm going to be climbing on a ladder on those kind of stairs, I need people that are going to be able to catch me, or at least, call the ambulance when I fall. Let's see. Brian saying, a co-worker of mine let me borrow his 5K organic chemistry textbook. Ooh, nice. So are you going to be madly scanning and and downloading it? Or are you borrowing it for a specific project? Dixie says, truth be told, oh, wait a minute. There we go. Turn that off first. I found the channel by accident. I saw the Canadian hat, so I decided to jump on. Nice. Can you tell me a little bit more about the show? Sure. I'm Digger420. You call me Digger. I'm a Canadian. I've been on disability for quite a long while. Been battling with, health issues, which have caused things like anxiety, depression, agoraphobia, that fun stuff. And then the last 3, 4 years now, I've realized there's a world online. So I started joining in other chats. I entered LawTube before it was LawTube. And so on my channel here, it's a few different things. On Mondays right now, I have my other friends, mostly other streamers, but I have other friends from hanging out in chat. I like to have them on as well. And we just talk about whatever, topic seems to be hot on people's minds. Wednesdays, I do the exact same thing at the exact same time, only there's no guests. I'm just talking to you guys. So whatever you want to talk about, that's what we talk about. Thursday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific time, because I am a West Coaster, I read a different book. I started out with Behold a Pale Horse, which was very interesting and enlightening, a heavy read as well. We finished that. Now I'm starting, see, I've got it right here. I've got Oliver Sacks, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. He's I'm saying constantly. My bad, guys. He's a neuropsychologist who actually did his research on the right hemisphere of the brain. Most of the research we have, the knowledge we have, is on the left hemisphere, and it's a bunch of case studies of various clients who have different right side injuries. The man literally couldn't recognize his wife, thought she was a hat. He tried to grab her and put her on his head. There's interesting, we just read a chapter about someone who lost complete awareness of their entire body, and the only way they could control their body was if they were actually looking at the parts. So that was very interesting as well. So there, right now we're looking into illnesses that affect people on the right side, which we just don't hear about very often. But once we finish that, I'm sure someone will have suggested another book, and we will do that. I love conspiracy theories of all types. The wilder, the more ridiculous, the better. I have a tin. You can kind of see it right there. I've got a cat, a porcelain cat figure, and she is wearing my tinfoil hat. So I do have one, and I love to put it on from time to time just because I speak about conspiracy theories does not mean I necessarily believe them all, but it tickles me when they get really ridiculous. And it's been interesting to see so many of them actually coming out as true over the last 5-10 years. So yeah, that's about it. Just hang out. If you've ever got a question about something you want answering, you can drop it in the comments, and I'll take a look and see if I can find my way down that rabbit hole. I'm always looking for new things to look into. Sam says she understands the struggle. She said put it in a shadow box. That's what I was thinking, except you still, I've been thinking about it for a while now. I really like the idea of it being completely see-through except for the jersey and the wood frame, and then just have it slowly in the breeze, just rotating around, hanging from a chain, like a nice heavy-duty chain. Love it. But I've had the jersey since I was in I don't know, whenever he played his rookie year, whatever year that was. I've had it since then, so it's a long time coming. Put it on, take a picture, and frame it together. There you go. That's a good idea too, Wild. Brian. Hi, Dixie. Great to have you stop by. And OG, good to see you, buddy. To Biden, every stairwell is one of possible death. Very true. He'd never make it up my staircase. It really is the staircase of death. Stay off ladders. Are y'all crazy? Well, see, and that's why, see if I can do this. One of my old pastors painted that, and I really admired it. So he gave it to me when he was moving on to the next place. That is a calendar from old Milwaukee with one of the old Milwaukee girls in it. You can't see the top half of her at the moment, but she's a redheaded sailor girl. That is so many years old, that calendar, but it's still hanging there because that's my goal when I'm doing my exercises and working out and stuff. That is the goal I wish to attain. So that keeps me focused. But there's nothing else any further than that, because that one there, that's as far as I can reach without a ladder to put something and hang it. Any further and it's just too far. So it's, it hasn't happened as yet. I'm thinking again, if I hang it from a chain and let it, go in a circle, well, then that's further out, and I can potentially screw the hook in chain into the ceiling from this side, kneeling on the couch or something. In theory. Wild saying, for a foot picture, someone will gladly hang it for free. Yeah, but the person who would want one of my foot pictures is the exact person I don't want coming into my house. I don't know. I don't know about that. Don't get me wrong. You do whatever you want to do in the privacy of your own home. But I guess I'm a bit of a prude because feet don't do it for me. They're just, yeah. I've never done a communion, partially because I have yet to be baptized, and partially because the germaphobe in me does not want to touch anyone else's feet. I know it's supposed to be an act of humility, but I don't know. At some point I will be able to do it, but I haven't got there yet. Oh, geez, saying the only time I was a reader was before smartphones, when I was on the can. Fair enough. I used to walk around. I always had a book in my hand. With my memory issues over time, I've stopped reading because I just can't retain it. That's one of the many reasons I read a book once a week. Not only because reading it aloud helps me retain the information better. Also, I once had a huge vocabulary, and there's just holes in my memory now. And I'll see a word and I'll recognize the word, and I'm certain I've said the word, but I can't hear it suddenly in my head. I can't hear the word, and so I can't spit it out. By reading aloud to you guys and your patience in letting me do it, work through it, it is helping me. It's helping to bring the other vocabulary back into the forefront of my mind. So, although I know it's sometimes interesting when I trip over either the same word over and over again, or I'm managing 4 and 5 syllable words no problem, and then I trip over that, you know. Stingy, good to see you. You're asking, have you read the Die Hard Steve Urkel conspiracy theory? I did not know there was a Steve Urkel conspiracy theory. Please DM. That is most definitely a rabbit hole I'd have fun going down. And Brian, you're a youngin'. Yes, there were. I remember a time when there was no internet. We had landlines only. Yes, there was a time. And I'm officially old enough that I can say, back in my day. Wild is saying, isn't there a book about the Titanic conspiracy to kill the millionaires and something to do with the World Bank or something? Yes. There is a whole lot of different conspiracy theories attached to the Titanic, including the fact that it wasn't actually the Titanic. Theoretically, okay, like I said, I know all the conspiracy theories, or I know a lot of them. Doesn't mean I believe them all. But I have gone down those rabbit holes for the fun of it. One of them is it was actually the Olympic, not the Titanic, that sunk. The real Titanic got damaged or something last minute, so they went about changing all the what are they, like the names of things, the seats and everything like that, the different rooms, the nameplates. That's it. They ran about changing the nameplates around and making it all say Titanic, but allegedly the other one was damaged and the real one was damaged and had to be switched out for the Olympia instead last minute. That's just one of many. The World Bank conspiracy theory. Yes, there were a few millionaires on the Titanic altogether. They were coming across to join the other American leaders and in your government to decide what to do in regards to the World Bank, because those people all died. Your Fed was sold out to the World Bank like this, no problem, no questions asked, and that's gotten you to where you are now in that respect. Just as an aside, in case you're curious, Canada, our Fed was safe and we were in the black and we were doing brilliantly right up till Trudeau Sr. So Justin Trudeau's father was prime minister before him, and he's the one that sold our Fed out to the World Bank. So he's the one that we get to blame. But yeah, there's a lot of conspiracies around the Titanic. Brian's asking OG if there was a time before smartphones. And OG is responding, I don't entirely know because I never had a watch. And OG, I call roofers Mormons because they're Latter-day Saints. Smart ass. Brian, especially you. That's why I'm coming to visit you boys over there. Gonna keep all the oddness at a distance. OG says she might let you in if you're in a cat disguise to Brian. You never know. I am thick. I might just get won over by the cuteness of the kitten. So, Linda's saying, I got baptized and started taking communion, and the only feet I've washed besides mine were my babies. Yeah, in my church, they do it quarterly. The first Sabbath of the new year, is the first one of the year. It's a big one, but I believe, well, at least the church, the specific church that I attend online, they do it quarterly. The way they arrange it, because it's not just about the wafer and the blood of Christ, the body of Christ. It's about showing the humility. The way the church does it is they have husbands and wives washing each other's feet, and then all the singles will wash, like all the single women go in one room, and all the single men are put in another room so they can wash each other's feet without the commingling of men and women in an act that is supposed to be full of humility and could potentially be full of lustfulness if done together, right? So, but I haven't done it. I don't feel like I have the right to do that if I haven't been baptized, and I don't feel like I have the right to be baptized if I'm still smoking cigarettes. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm working on quitting the cigarettes. That's next. I've got a list, and there are things I need to check off, but that's where I'm at. Linda's saying you started at 12. Is that when you were baptized? Yeah, my church doesn't baptize babies. I know some churches will baptize babies, but our church waits until the children are old enough to be able to understand what they're consenting to, which I think is kind of, I appreciate that. OG says I'd start taking communion if they flavored those choke hazards. Yes, well, it's not supposed to be a pleasurable experience, OG. You're supposed to be remembering Jesus and what and how Jesus died for you. It's not supposed to be, you know, cookies and sweet tea. All right. Jenny said she's working. Finally turned off her multitasking windows. It's going to save her tons of time. And she knows how to set her views. All right. I understood most of that. No, you're working hard, and I'm glad that you can listen in while you're working. I'm glad I can give you the right cadence. OG says, with all the feet freaks, I'd be too afraid they'd be filming it for later use. Yeah. And Linda's telling OG to sneak in some frosting that she can dip the communion wafer in before he eats it. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. Oh, Wild is saying, my first car had an AM radio. We had rabbit ears with tinfoil on them so we could watch the 3 TV stations we could get, and gas was 57 cents a gallon. Pack of cigarettes was 45 cents. McDonald's cheeseburger was 25 cents. That was the 70s kids. Yes, I was the 80s kids. So everything was a little bit more expensive. When I first started smoking at age 12, yes, the smoking age is 19. But when I started smoking at age 12, cigarettes were $5 a pack. Now they're $25 a pack. Oh. Linda's saying that sounds like a cult. What does? I don't know. It was so just you just said it. Or is that the separating people for the foot washing? Yes, you made the decision at 12. There you go. See, my parents never had any religion at all. My dad was and is in AA. So he had a higher power. And that's what we learned about, was a higher power, but we were allowed to choose how we wanted to define that higher power. So they never gave us any denominations or anything. They didn't. There was a Bible on the bookshelf, but that's because it was there on the bookshelf. It just, was there with the thesaurus and the Webster's dictionary. No one ever actually really read it, but it was there. So, Stingy has sent the stuff about Steve Urkel. All right, I will have fun with that later. Hello, lady. Good to see you again, too. Just catching up to live. Good, good. So we're just kind of chitty chatting about whatever you guys want to chitty chat about. We were talking about Bob Menendez, um, and about baptism and communion, whether the foot washing is a thing or not. Um, oh gee, my father was into NA, NA drug he could find, but ching. Yes, I wasn't that bad in my drug doing days. I was strictly looking for uppers so that I could function in the world like most human beings could, without said aids. Don't mind. See, she's being really cute now. Boo is, um, but they're both getting anxious and acting a bit, moving because it is officially that time. Um, I should be opening cans of stuff right now, so we'll see how much longer they'll let me go before they start getting really annoying. Linda saying the foot washing sounds like a cult. There you go. Yeah, it's like I said, it's meant to let everyone understand and feel the same humility as Jesus did when he washed the feet of the disciples or the apostles. Mostly the same thing. Oh, for Pete's sake, Stingy. I'm putting this up and I'm going to read it, but in this clown world, I don't know if this is real or not. Stingy saying breaking, a 25-year-old woman faces possible jail time after pleading guilty in the UK's first ever cyber farting case, accused of sending numerous videos of herself farting to her boyfriend's ex. Is that real? I mean, you just can't tell for sure anymore. These days there is such ridiculousness. Monty Python used to make skits about things that were so absolutely ridiculous they'd never happen, and they're coming true now. Like the men walking around dressed as women, forcing everyone to call them women. So apparently, she was causing the ex distress and anxiety because of some farting videos. Oh goodness. And lady saying, yes, it's sad but true. Oh, wow. This world, I tell you, I blame CERN. I blame CERN for everything. Every time they turn that darned machine on, something else happens. Shenny is saying to Squabob, my goal is a bunch of us seniors break major federal law. They can lock us all up in one prison, release 98% of the guards at night, feed us, watch over us, and let the kids visit once a week. Right? And you'll have three hots and a cot for the rest of your retirement. Elon went from Halley's Comet to hailing commies, from infinite and beyond to incinerate and be gone. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but that sure didn't look like a C Kyle to me. Not at all. But like I was saying at the beginning of the show, they're basically throwing everything they can at the wall, and they're going to run with everything and see if they can see what they can make stick. They don't really have any power or control for the next 4 years, so they're just going to all they can really do is make trouble and make a whole lot of trouble. So we'll see. Wild is saying to Shenny, no camp for me. I'll live in the woods. That was kind of my perspective. So when the shit hits the fan, I'm just gonna keep heading north and live in the bush If I survive, that's wonderful. And if I don't, at least I lived and died on my own terms. That being said, I say what I think. Um, and a lot of the opinions that I hold are not necessarily conducive to everyone's terms of service. So I may very well my government might decide to come and have a chat with me long before I feel like it's time to go running and bushwhacking. I wouldn't be surprised about that either. Or if they're right about the Sunday law, I'll be rounded up and put in prison when I don't agree to attend church on Sunday. So, there's multiple outcomes that are still out there that, could be possible. I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated. Sinji sent me the article. Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. And Shinny's saying full benefits, everything under one roof. Fair enough. Just kidding's here, saying if you want to break federal laws, I have ideas. I'll bet you do. Shinny's saying, I'm not saying I break some already. However, I could take more suggestions. Yeah, she doesn't want to break the law and get herself imprisoned for life yet. She's waiting until retirement age. When she's run out of funds and she cannot care for herself, that's when you go out and you create and you cause an offense that is just bad enough to keep you locked up for the rest of your natural life. We've discussed this theory before. Could you tell? Wild saying, I think we should lock up everyone under 30. They just screw everything up. Yeah, well, unfortunately, the people under 30 are also the ones that tend to do the most wild and amazing things because they still think that they're unkillable, right? It's as soon as we start, 30 and above, when we start to realize like, oh crap, that it hurts when I wake up in the morning and you start to realize your humanity and the fact that you're most definitely killable. You're not infallible and you're not unkillable anymore. I'm not able to find the word, but you guys know what I'm saying. Shenny's agreeing with Wild, saying it's an option too. But her thing is she has this big ass house, a dog and a cat, and she's afraid without the guards walking around, she may be animal food soon. Well, see, and that's my expectation is I'm going to be animal food. These girls are indoor only. They don't get to go out and play with the other animals. So I know that someday, especially the way they act when it's nearing that time of day, I can't say any of the words that pertain to that action because they'll perk up and drive me nuts. But but yeah, considering how much they act like I never give them anything, they'd be gnawing on me within 24 hours. So I'm just, I'm relying on the fact that people will notice I'm missing before they run out of me to eat. And at the end of the day, I just plan on being cremated. I want my ashes spread in the lake down the way. So it doesn't matter what state my body is in when they retrieve it, right? Sounds like you need to escape, sis. Just kidding. Thank you. Escape. Okay, now I see it. There you go. Linda's saying, I always said for my retirement, I'd delete someone and get on death row so I could get my own room and not have to put up with anyone, not worry about rent, utilities, food, and clothes. Exactly. Exactly. 3 hots and a cot for the rest of your natural life. Why not? When the money's run out and you've had to sell the house and, why not? Why struggle with paying rent and stuff as so many seniors are trying to do? Why not just, off someone and go live out your years in the death or in death row? I like that. And again, if I didn't have the bush that I could run into, that would probably be a plan for me. I would much prefer to die in the bush, freezing and alone. What was that show? Naked and Afraid. Yeah, I'd rather go my own route. There's some medieval traditions we should bring back, right? Oh, geez, saying when I grew up, there was a million Polish jokes. Now they seem smarter than most other nations, right? I remember hearing the word Polak on TV and my mom saying, okay, now that's one of those words that you don't say. That's not a nice word and you don't use that word. But they were using it on TV, right? Nowadays, especially looking at our youth and the way we in the West have educated or not educated our children. Yeah, there's an awful lot of nations out there that are smarter than us these days. Oh no. OG says my crackhead father was cremated so his ashes could be used to smoke more rock. Nice. Nice. I always liked the idea, the original ending of The Little Mermaid, not the Disney version, but the real original version of the story. Um, she died and became dust, and she dissolved into the ocean. She just disappeared, and that's kind of I liked the idea of that. Just burn me up, like I said. That way, it doesn't matter if the girls have been gnawing on me for a bit before they find me, but just spread my ashes in my favorite lake, and I can just go back to being a part of the land here. Easy peasy, relatively cheap. I just got to make sure that there's at least one person who knows me that lives longer than I do to do that. Oh, when I escape, I have to take the dog. Wild saying, if I couldn't be around nature, I'd die. I'd rather go quietly into the woods and cry than cry a lifetime in a gray cell. Exactly. Exactly. Um, yeah. And I mean, where I live, hopefully, if I have to run and try and survive, it'll either be springtime, so I've got time to put up an actual fight against the winters, or if it is in wintertime, then sure, I'm running off to die. Um, quite quite likely I will be dying there. But you know, when you die of freezing, it's not really that painful. And since I've always battled pain all my life, I don't want I don't want to cause myself any more hurt than necessary, right? So freezing to death, you just kind of you're cold and you're shivering, and then you kind of fall asleep, and then you freeze and you're done. And I think that would be an okay and an acceptable way to go. Like that, or in your sleep, or in the middle of sex, or just as you're coming. Wonderful ways to go when you have to die. Those are on my top fives of ways to go if I get to choose. Nothing that hurts, nothing that causes pain. Um, I've done that all my life. I don't need to do that in my death as well. Yeah, Jenny's saying she's a dune buggy, motorcycle riding, forest walking, river swimming old lady. Then after 60, this body is tired. Just send me a photo and I can sit here and feel it. It's enough. So there you go, Wild. You and I will go running into the bush and try to make it on our own with Mother Nature, and we can take pictures and send them to Shenny in prison so that she can live vicariously through us. That sounds like a fair plan. Oh, gee. When they were going to make a colored Disney character, I thought the mermaid was going to be Hispanic. Yeah, I don't get me started on all those weird changes. It just, when there is a well-known story, a classical story, um, you know, um, famous and well-known lore, you can't go changing it. I don't care DEI or no. You can't just go changing it. It would be like making Snow White tanned and blonde hair. It doesn't work. It doesn't work with the story. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I wasn't too impressed with that. But then I haven't been impressed with Disney or ages now. Um, oh, good, Cynthia. You're coming into chat. You're on your way home from the hospital finally. Good, good. Go home, relax, and just enjoy the being at home again. While can still walk the trail and riding on the boat doesn't hurt none. I'm a kayaker. I will go in motorboats and stuff like that. Like I have no problem with that. But my favorite ways of being on the water is on a sailboat with no motor or in a kayak. I'll do a canoe, but every time I get in a canoe, I end up being the one who does all the work while the one in the middle is singing a song or playing guitar or something silly. And the one in the front doesn't do anything because they either can't be bothered or they don't know what to do. So canoes don't work for me. I have to do too much of the work. I like kayaks because it's just me and the stuff I choose to bring with me. Much easier. Oh, gee. Hey, Cynthia, did you sneak me some gowns for my OnlyFans? I don't even want to know what you're setting up for the OnlyFans with doctor's gowns or patient gowns, rather. Wild. I don't know. I think you should write a book anyways. You never know. Worst case scenario, you make nothing of it. But best case scenario, maybe you've got a bestseller and that pays for your retirement so you don't have to go running and surviving off of berries in the woods. You know? I've got a neighbor who's writing a book using Chat GPT, forcing it to write things against its TOS. But he's going to sell the book for like $1.99 on all the different forums. So even if only one person buys the book, it's it's made him money. And in the meantime, he's spent months having a blast trying to force fuck anti-TOS stuff into the Chat GPT story. It's a story about warriors in a military war, not any specific one. It's just a generic world war is happening. It's about a couple of the different soldiers from different factions, and it's a lot of fun. I've sat there while they're trying to make Chat GPT write something that they're not supposed to write, and then you have to try and copy paste the section before it automatically erases it and says, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say that." So it's kind of like a race as well, and it's a lot of fun. Who was it? Was it Xcomer that got so hooked on the Chat GPT when it first came out that he kind of just disappeared from the world? He just went underground with Chat GPT for ages. But that's kind of what he was doing. He was trying to force fuck it and cause it to do things it wasn't meant to do. And he was having a lot of fun with it. Irma Bombeck was a great author. I do believe I don't know. I think I've still got a few of her books. I don't think they're on the bookshelf, but they're packed in the totes with all of my Robert Heinlein and Anne McCaffrey and all of that. Zane Grey books. Cynthia saying they wouldn't let me take any gowns, but they did give me a stack of adult-sized chucks. What are chucks? I don't know what that is. Adult-sized chucks. I don't know. You'll have to fill me in on what that is so that I can understand. Or don't, and that's fine too, because I'm used to not getting the joke all the time. Oh, Wild and Shenny are bonding over their shared more than 60 years on the planet and how they can or cannot do the hiking and whatnot anymore. You're only as old as you feel. So you just got to keep thinking that you're a teenager and you're good to go. Or at least I'm trying. Okay, adult size pee pads, chucks. I've never heard that term. Interesting. Cool. Now I know. Thank you. OG says Chat GPT is all right, but Chat CBD is much more fun. Well, and Chat THC is my favorite, especially this time of the evening. Pain levels are, pretty darned high. And yeah, once we're done here, it gets turned off and I get to smoke some really nice indica and be a little stupid for a bit. A little stupid, but with less pain, so it's worth it. Wild saying, just get good boots. You can hike and hike the trails and whatnot. You just need good boots, and that's true. I've got a really good pair of boots that I can hike and wear on the daily, and it really is. That's what you need. It's amazing how far you can get with a good pair of boots and a big roll of duct tape. Duct tape is great for so many things, not least of which putting on your heel before you put the boots or the shoes on, so that the friction slides against the duct tape and not the skin, and you don't get the blister. It's a funny little tip if anyone needs it. Lady saying same thing with the time for the smoke. Yeah, I tend to stick to sativas as much as possible. During the day, it gives me the energy and the ability to focus and function. Because I don't want to be smoking indicas and getting stupid stoned first thing in the morning. I never get anything done. So the sativas are really great for that. Helps me get up, get motivated, and get things done. But yeah, it's 25 after 5 right now, my time. And now's the time when I'm starting to want to head towards this the indicas and get some pain relief. OG says, I'm not sure if I'm getting chubby or annoying because people always tell me to take a hike. Maybe a little of both. You think maybe? And Wild saying, good boots, my camera. Hubby brings the tasty smoke and I can wander around for hours. I'm the same way. Because of the injury I did to my spine, more than a decade ago, I'm not capable of doing the hikes up. On a very gradual slant, sure, but if we're going, pretty much straight up and down, I can't do that anymore. Which is unfortunate, but I can walk all day long and not stop. I can cover miles and miles and miles in a day, as long as I'm having a good day. That being said, if it's spring or fall and it's super wet and humid out, I'm a vibrating puddle of humanity and pain. Usually spending the most of my time in bed, because if I'm asleep, I'm not feeling it. So it really depends on the time of year. That's why I'm hoping when the shit hits the fan, it's like very early spring, and that'll give me the time to get through it and get the work done once the pain goes down. Duct tape in the woods, not sexy. I don't know, Wild. Duct tape is very, very handy in many different situations. If I had to be lost on a island all by myself, the one thing I'd take would be duct tape because I can get a lot of other stuff done with a ginormous roll of duct tape. Hello, Demon's Wrath. What's up? We're all doing good. We're just hanging out and shooting the shit. What do you feel about when the shit hits the fan? Are you going to run away, or like Shenny, do you think maybe committing a federal crime and spending your retirements in prison with 3 hots and a cot? But that would be your option. What would you choose? I guess it's not when the shit hits the fan, but when retirement comes and you can no longer afford your home, do you pay rent like a lot of the elderly these days, and struggle that way, or do you commit a felony and get yourself life in prison, 3 hots and a cot? Both sounds pretty cool. Wild and I are on the same page. We're just gonna take off into the bush and try and survive of our own. Oh, geez. Oh, gee. I never asked for scoliosis, but God hooked me up anyway. Gee, you're funny. Okay, yeah. See, that's the difference. Demon's Wrath, since you're just coming in. Um, One perspective is attempting to have life off grid, um, doing all the hard work and surviving that way. The other option, Shenny's option with the federal with the federal charges is she's got long-term survival, and she's got her 3 hots in a cot. She's comfortable, she's well taken care of, there's medicine for her if she needs it, and guards keeping everyone safe. And Demon says that's such a long way away, I'm not sure what my options will be. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, we've got all different age. I think you're closer to Brian S's age. I think you're in your early to mid 30s tops. I would say early 30s, I think, but I could be wrong because I've got friends I thought were men for 3 years that have just found out are women. So really, my assumptions aren't necessarily correct all the time. Oh, gee. If the shit hits the fan, you've gone to the wrong party. True that. True that. Yeah, it's not any party I'd like to attend, that's for sure. Although I have attended a few raves on farms where everyone's moshing and dancing in what is, it's mud and cow shit. But when you're that high and enjoying the music, it doesn't really matter. I think that's how Woodstock worked so well. It was muddy and disgusting and gross, but everyone was just so high it didn't matter. And while saying, well, Shenny, now I have a husband to help. So you're not going to be doing it all on your own. You do have a helpmate. That's good. See, I'm going to be doing it all on my own. Demon's Wrath is saying I could take over the neighborhood and rule as a local warlord. Why not? If shit hits the fan. That's true. I'm thinking for my own personal self with my health issues, I'm not going to be able to overcome the masses. So I'm better off. I'm safer if I just run to the bush and try and take care of myself. In the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to last long in a bunch of people. Oh, wow, that's awesome. You and your hubby have been together over 30 years. Couldn't imagine your life without him. So facing that, I'd rather check out too. Aw, that's awesome. That's really cool when people can do that. Both. My parents divorced when I was 24, I think, and they've both since remarried. And they're both so much happier now. It's wild just how much happier they both are now that they're not with each other. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But I guess that's the luck of the draw. Eh? Sometimes you find your person early on, and sometimes you don't find your person until the end of the ride. So lucky you. Shenny, on the other hand, is saying, I can't imagine letting my husband live for 30 if I were to get married. And that's probably part of why you're single, Shenny. If you can't imagine letting a husband live for 30 years, then you might be, you're just not going to want to have the friendship. You can just stay single and be happy. What kind of medical issues are you cursed with? How are you going to grow bud in the bush? Well, that's a big thing. I won't, of course, and I won't be able to get any of my prescriptions in the bush either. It'll be a hardship for sure, But I'd rather that hardship than, what the New World Order has in store for us. So that being said, I live rather close to a really lovely reservation, and the Okanagan Valley, where I live, it's a beautiful, huge valley that is great for agriculture. So cultivating marijuana isn't going to be the hardest thing as long as I can get some seeds, right? So, and there's an awful lot of pot stores where I live too. So seeds won't be too hard to come by. Shenny. Oh, I believe in homicide, not divorce. I see. When the shit hits the fan, if you don't stockpile razors, we're all going to be in the bush, says Ochi. Very true. Very true. And Wild saying, I got so lucky in every way, if you know what I mean. Nice. Nice. And you guys, I can't show it. But yeah, she's playing with the fun Rumble emotes. Rumble Fire and the Rumble Rocket. I'm thinking I think she's talking about in the bedroom, I think. That's a chunky kitty. That one there. That's Sweets. Yeah, she seems to be a little pudgy. I don't know if she's been sneaking and eating Boo's food instead of letting Boo actually finish Boo's food. But yeah, I noticed that she's getting a little bit on the chubbier side. So we are working on that. It's a nice thing about having to have them on a special diet for Boo, because I could really keep track of how much they're eating. Hello, Past. How you doing? It's good to see you again. Cat Happy is okay. Wild was saying she dropped the wrong one. She's doing the Cat Happy. You guys, if you can't see that, I wonder, I closed the one. Does this work still? Oh, it does too. So what I can do is this, and I can share it so you guys can see the wonder that is the Rumble. The Rumble emotes, they're so much fun. They really are so much fun. So we've got the Rumble Fire and the Rocket coming off because she was talking about how lucky she was in every way with her husband. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Say no more. And then she said, oops, wrong sticker. And there's the smiley cat. Let's see. Oh, wrong way. Oh, now I've gone the wrong. There we go. Can you see it now? How about now? I see a very uber happy kitty. And Demon it's right there anyways. If you ain't strap digger, you'd best hook up with someone who does, like Runkle. You can join his harem. Fair enough. I'll keep that in mind. He's not all that far off from me. We're opposite provinces, but really, it would take me less time to drive from where I am to where Runkle lives than it would to drive from where I am to the island to see family on the island. So I'm pretty close. But yeah, I ain't strapped because I'm a Canadian. I'm the average Canadian from this generation. So I've not even, I've held play guns and stuff, but oh, wrong way. There we go. I've held play guns, but no real guns. I was an archer in the past. I did take archery for quite a while. At this point in time, that's kind of my ideal weapon would be a crossbow, because I am getting older, and even though I may be able to do that right now, I won't always. So crossbow seems to me the best plan. Also, if I want to be taking down things like moose, I want something with a lot of power because I don't want to just piss the moose off. That would not be good. If I'm going to take something out, I want to make sure it's out the first time. Oh my God, just kidding. Thank you, because every time she says bush, I've been waiting for someone to go jump on it. There you go. I missed it. Oh, so if I don't shave, will I hide in my bush? We'll talk about that later. Going to hide in your bush. OG says Rumble is too glitchy for me. And once they started censoring my speech, I said, fuck them. Yeah, I still prefer them. I can still say an awful lot more on Rumble than I can on YouTube. So I still prefer it. But I tend to spend most of my time in YouTube chats because that's where all my friends are. So Runkle will be a regional warlord. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I will keep that in mind because I do have an in. I do have awareness of who he is, and we've been on stream together. So he should potentially recognize my name, ideally. So I will keep that in mind if the shit hits the fan and I need an overlord to protect me. I'll just head that way. That's basically north. Anyways. Oh, just a wild saying. I forget to point out that we call it the woods or the mountains, but the bush is Australia and some lesbian destination. Yeah, see, we call it the bush out here because what do you do when we're just hiking out into the bush for no reason? You're bushwhacking, right? So it's just I've always called it the bush, but then I've never thought about it as being dirty before because up until well, no, that's not true either. I've always had a dirty brain. I just haven't connected the two. Hello, Mr. Q. How you doing? Saying good evening, everyone. I am playing with my yingy yangy. Your yingy yangy, eh? Is that your kitty or something? I'm hoping innocent kitty talk. Oh, Jesus. What do you think about Trump hinting the idea of Canada being the 51st state? I think it's funny. I don't think it'll happen. Ideally, in a well, yeah, no, there's no such thing. We live in clown world. We can't even think about in a perfect world because that's never going to happen. No, I would prefer to stick to being Canadians because I like my Canuck identity. It's a part of me and it's a part of my ancestry. My family literally bushwhacked across this province to develop small towns and villages that have become thriving. Well, maybe not all of them. Some of them are still towns and villages, but some have become thriving metropolitan cities. And yeah, we did that by bushwhacking. Thank you very much. So there's too much of me and my ancestry in Canada to want to just give it up and become an American. That being said, you do have a wonderful country, and I am coming to visit. I'm going to come and travel through the East Coast because I've never ever gone that far ever before. And I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. I'm sure it's lovely over there. But in the long term, maybe I could see myself, living in the States for a few years. But long term, I'm going to be a Canuck, and you can't buy us. Demon says he'll carve out a fiefdom. He'll require local lords to administer to the realm. Okay. Well, maybe if I play my cards right, I can be a local lord in the BC area. Never know. Hello, AP. Guns, I got you covered. Yes, and I appreciate that so very much, except that I'm on the West Coast and you're on the East Coast. And if the shit's hitting the fan, it's going to be very, very hard for the two of us to somehow meet in the middle. But I do appreciate the sentiment. I do. If the shit hits the fan, you want to pew pew. Also, if the shit hits the fan, you won't have to worry about the legalities. Yes, that's true. But I don't necessarily know how to use it. Right? I'm thinking safety first as well as accuracy. Again, not just, Yeah. Do you encounter moose often, Digger? Well, I don't. I've seen moose relatively close, but I live in the ghetto, so we have ghetto deer and ghetto stags, um, but we don't have any ghetto moose, which is, kind of unfortunate. I love moose; they're my favorite wild animal, and they taste delicious. They can feed a person for a year, and they taste so so good. Um, but yeah, that being said, they are close enough that if I had to run into the bush to survive, I'd be running into them sooner rather than later. So a good crossbow with some nice metal shafts that don't get bent up, when you accidentally hit something like a rock. But also, I used to do a lot of archery, so that's where my comfort is. That's where my skill level is. So I'm better off that way. Mr. Q says we have a family range. My nephew has federal firearms license. We got all the fun stuff to play with. If you ever come to Minnesota, I will keep that in mind. Minnesota is one of the stops I will be making on this trip. AP is another person I will be seeing on a stop in the trip. Crossbows are less deadly, but flatter shooting. Yeah, well, and basically, like I said, for me, it comes down to abilities and and the ease. I can reuse arrows plenty of times as long as they're nice and heavy duty. Like I'm thinking it's a crossbow, so I'm going to be using iron um, cross or iron arrows, something like that, something nice and hard. So if I accidentally shoot it into a big rock or something, I'm not going to ruin it. But my accuracy is to this day it's still pretty good with archery. So I'm more likely to be able to take down like a deer or a moose or something with a crossbow, especially as I get into old age and arthritis. It's going to be a lot easier to use a crossbow than to use an actual bow. Mr. Q says my nephew is currently trying to buy a tank. Well, that's interesting. I was told recently that the Dragon Man in Colorado is they're potentially passing a law that will make a lot of his museum and his toys illegal. So I got to look into that and see what's happening. Because he's got an amazing collection. The Dragon Man, he's got an amazing collection. But yeah, that's about the only person I know who's just a regular Joe with a tank. At least out here in North America. Bushwhacking off, says Shenny. I don't think I said bushwhacking off until I just read that out loud. Now I said it twice. I may have said bushwhacking off. That's okay. Bushwhacking sounds painful. Well, it comes from, literally clearing brush to break trail. So yeah, you were literally whacking the bushes to get them out of the way and break a trail for the pack horses and everything to come along next. Nape's saying hola, y'all. Or hola, not hola. Demon's Wrath says waltzing Matilda sounds like it may or may not be euphemistic. Good point. I've not actually. Damn it! I've never actually thought or put that song into those type of connotations. That's very funny. Thank you for that. I'll never hear it again same way. With the Billy Bong, or is it a Billabong? I think it's a Billabong. Or maybe the Billabong was the binders, the ring binders that we had in school. Were they Billabongs? I can't remember now. Maine is Canada Little. Yes, AP, it is kind of Canada Little. Yeah, I'd like to see Maine at some point. It always sounded pretty, as I'm reading Stephen King horror books. The land sounded really nice. Mr. Q says 3 different hideouts when I was young. I had a fort, bush, and cove, and a super swamp. We threw kegs in all of them when I got older. There you go. See, we lived at the foot of the mountain. I grew up in a town called Port Coquitlam, um, and it lived right at the foot of Burke Mountain. And we could literally hop our bikes and start riding into the bush. And we'd break our own trails if we needed to, but there were so many trails already there. Crystal Falls was one of our favorite places to go to, and the abandoned cabin, which is by now long gone. The abandoned cabin was another place. And yes, we had stashes for ourselves in the different locations as well. Just in case we came up empty-handed, there'd be something there, right? OG says, all right, going to eat later, y'all. You be well, OG. Enjoy dinner. Pink Cloud 9 Vodcast, anything and everything. Good to meet you. Welcome. She says, OG, it's a funny idea, but won't happen. Canada wouldn't. Oh, with the 51st state. Yeah, no, it won't happen. It is a very funny idea, but it won't happen. No, we like being Canucks too much. And then Demon's Wrath says, or is it Biltong? I'm pretty sure it's not Biltong. Billabong is what I'm voting for. That's what I think is the right way to go. Demon's Wrath says Biltong is South African jerky. Oh, good to know. Now I need that little sound clip. AP says, it's not as hard as you think. I have family in Washington. Okay, that's good. So we're closer than I thought. Good. I've got a few friends in Washington State now. Yeah, God forbid the socialism does take over my country. I've got an idea of how to head that way. And I've got friends that I can bump into along the way. So I'll keep that in mind too, AP. You have the potential to meet me out that way. Right. Yeah, Linda's asking AP how Elijah's school is going. He's pretty close to finishing, isn't he? Elijah is his AP's buddy's son. He made it into the Navy, and he's in school in training at the moment for submarines. And as Linda said, yeah, he should be just about finishing. So that's really cool. And is he going to need to go and take more training elsewhere, or is he now going to be assigned to a sub? I'm curious. That's really cool. And AP says, took my big 8 with my bow. See, they've doing it for, thousands of years before there was such thing as a gun. So I figure I'll do okay. Mr. Q says, and yes, Yingy Yangy is a fat tuxedo black girl kitty and daughter of a Queen Misty gray cat. She has a brother named Yudi. Aw. No, that's not a tuxedo in your picture. I love that smoky gray one, though, in your picture, in your avatar, with the very bright green or blue eye. It's a very pretty looking cat as well. Demon saying, if you shoot an iron crossbow bolt into a giant flint or so, you'll definitely mess up the head. Probably be deformed. At the very least, it'll blunt the bladed tip. But that's, yeah, that's something that can be dealt with. Oh, and AP is saying he switched to another profession. Doesn't know when he leaves for it. He's going into IT. Interesting. There you go. Mr. Q says crossbows are nice for target practice. Use straw or soft wood like pine. Yeah. Sorry, no, I added the off, but you said it anyway. Fair enough. Bushwhacking off. And Wild wants a flamethrower, but they didn't believe she wanted one for hot dogs and marshmallows. I don't know why. I don't know you very well, but I know you well enough to know that that's exactly what you'd be using it on. And I know that because that's what I'd be using it on too. Mr. Q says Bush had to whack it. Clinton was the one who go to BJ secretary. Okay. Yes, Bush had to whack it, but Clinton had the secretary to give him the blowjobs. Fair enough. I like that too. Are we talking about Bush Sr. or Bush Jr.? Probably fits just as well for both of them. I can't see either of them being particularly ladies' men. AP says, I don't blame him. No way I'd go into a submarine unless it was yellow. Good luck to him. Yeah, that's the same with me. I don't like the idea of being, piled into a tin can with X amount of air for us all to breathe and then going underwater and going deep, deep, deep underwater. That just doesn't sound like fun to me, you know? I'd rather be on the boat on the surface or diving with scuba gear than in a tin can. Heck, we all saw what happened to the Tyson submersible. That's not the way I want to go. Oh, and AP saying he's staying in the submarine. He's just moving to IT. Okay. Interesting. AP. Ew, Canucks. Wings, 100%. Oh, I went to a Detroit Red Wing, a Detroit. Bleh. I went to a game against them. It was my Canucks playing against them. And it was the best seats I ever had in my entire life of attending a hockey team or hockey games. I was like second row. No, I'm sorry. I was fourth row from the glass, and we were behind the goaltender. There's like 5 minutes left in the game. Someone behind me digs out their octopus and chucks it as hard as they can, but they didn't gauge it right. And instead of sailing over the glass and onto the ice, it hit smack at the top of the glass, and then it proceeded to slowly smear all the way down the glass. So we got to watch the last 5 minutes of the game through a smear. So not overly impressed with that. But I still don't understand why would you want to bring a slimy creature into a hockey game? Where would you keep it that the people at the doors as you come in don't find it? Again, why is it an octopus? I don't understand. People checking their hats on the ice for hat trick. That I understand. That makes sense to me. But chucking sea creatures onto the ice just doesn't make any sense to me. And again, how do you smuggle one in? I can't. I've got a very active visual imagination, and I cannot, for the life of me, imagine where one would put an octopus to hide it from the guards, the security at the door, and hang on to it hidden until the end or near the end of the third period. I can't. It's the one thing I cannot visualize. It's just ridiculous. Mr. Q says you can still be proud of being Canadian as the 51st state. There's people proud of being from Ohio. Well, according to some tinfoil hat theories, Australia is actually a place under a dome in Ohio. And I've heard rumor now lately that Canada is actually in the other half of that dome that houses Australia in Ohio. So I don't know. Maybe I should be proud to be from Ohio if that conspiracy theory were true, eh? And Shetty saying my granddaughter is leaving for the Navy. Party is on the 8th. Oh, well, good luck to her. Sending prayers. Anyone going into the military right now, it's wild. I mean, I guess going into the military at any time is pretty insane to me. I can't. I've got opinions, see. And if my superiors tell me to do something that I really do not agree is correct, I'm going to have some questions and some pinions, and I'm going to get into trouble. So the military was never a thought for me. I just knew we wouldn't work. The gray cat is Queen Misty Gray of the Milky Way. She's an award-winning Russian blue cat. Okay. It's been featured in several magazines and a calendar. I love the fact that it's such a tiny little avatar, but you can just, it's like her eyes are just so beautiful and sparkly. She's a very, very pretty cat. I love cats. I really do. My favorite breed of all is the Maine Coon. They are they're large, they're furry, and they're the most dog-like cats I've ever met. They are very vocal, very loving. They're, yeah, my favorite breed. That being said, Boo here that I'm petting right now, she is the product of a one-night stand between a pure-blood ragdoll and whatever tomcat she found. She got out one night and she was back the next morning, but she was pregnant. Every single kitten in the whole litter looked exactly like the mom, a pure blood ragdoll, except for Boo. She came out and she's got dark fur and she's got lighter fur peeking out from underneath. Yeah, she's completely different, but I love her to bits. She's very special. She's got a broken heart on her chin and a diamond on her head. She's pretty awesome. And she's hearing me talk about her and I'm paying attention to her and we're doing really good. They haven't become annoying as yet. This is awesome. Demon saying women have an added risk aboard a submarine, not just locked under untold liters of water, also locked up with untold numbers of men. Various navies have had to give real consideration to that issue. Yes, I agree. And I've heard about that. And not just being locked up with untold numbers of men. You don't want to lock a whole bunch of women up together in a small confined space like that. Us women, if we are together often enough, our periods sink. You don't want to have 10, 20 women all on their rag at the same time when you're living in a tin can fathoms deep under the ocean. You know, it's just not conducive to a safe travel, you know? I wouldn't want to do it. Mr. Q says Monica Lewinsky went to her dry cleaner the other day and her drag, I think that's dry cleaner is old, so he's hard of hearing. And she said, you can clean this dress. And he said, come again. And she said, no, not this time. Ba-doom doom ching. Guys put octopus in garbage bags and disguises it as a beer belly. Oh, okay. I guess I can see that. They'd have to be dead, right? They'd have to be dead. Yeah. Stingy says, speaking of hockey, cannot wait till Ovechkin bypasses Gretzky. Yes, I said, want to fight? No. There's a couple of Oilers that have already surpassed Gretzky. I'm more will happen. It's because it's a different game now than it was when Gretzky was in his prime. It really is a different game. It's more about speed and finesse and less about working as a team. And the bruisers, I loved me a good bruiser. Bertuzzi, I loved that player. But yeah, no, I'm not surprised suddenly now there's many or multiple people coming up to and bypassing his things. He was a finesse player in a game that was not about finesse. He did brilliant things, but yeah, it's time. It's time people will overtake him. I miss old hockey. Wild says, I don't know anything about smuggling octopus into hockey games. It's just a theory she had about the garbage can and belly, or garbage bag and belly. And AP says no one is proud of Ohio. Oh, lady, at Nashville Predators games, she says there have been catfish thrown on the ice. Well, yeah, but catfish are smaller. They're a lot easier to hide on your person. Octopus, even smaller octopi are still going to be, at least the ones they chuck for hockey are going to be about this big, and they're going to be unwieldy, you know. Gonna be on. So I don't know. I think catfish. I would prefer to attempt to smuggle catfish than an octopus. I think. Mr. Q, octopus. What the hell do you have octopus on ice for? I know, right? Doesn't make any sense. Tell us, Mom, with you. Oh, tell us what the hell's wrong with you, Canadian people. It's not us. It's Detroit. It's you, Detroit. Well, not you. You're not Detroit. But it's the Detroit team. They're the ones that bring the octopi and chuck them on the ice for no damned reason that I can think of. I don't like it's. They're the Red Wings. What are they? Where does octopus come into it? Where in the whole history and scheme of the team, where do octopus come into it all? I don't know where that even started. That may be another rabbit hole I can fall down. Just because I've always wondered, how did it start? Why did it start? And how did they get them in there? It'd be great. 3-pronged to start my rabbit hole trip down. Or rabbit. Yes, I'm not. I'm just stopping there. I think I said something phrasing worthy, but when I bred, oh, okay. Mr. Q saying, when I bred Misty Gray, I was kind of upset because I ended up with 5 tuxedo kittens and not one of them was even gray and white, just all of them black and white. Aw. Is it a genetic thing that causes the gray? I mean, I've heard of them, the Russian blues, but I don't know how they come to be. Jenny's saying, "Oh, wild! I had a friend here in San Diego. Went to a recruiter when she went to a recruiter and told him she wanted to be a clothing designer and see the world. And he said, 'Great, we need you. We've had the same uniform since the 1940s.'" I don't know. I kind of like the bell bottoms. She became a diesel mechanic in San Diego. Nice. Very nice. AP, I never said he made a smart choice for subservice. Mr. Q says, "Damn Digger has a great point. What if there was fucking nothing but women in a submarine? They'd launch the nukes and kill all of us." Well, either that or they'd kill themselves, right? Like there's gonna be a mutiny. There's gonna be a mutiny on there, especially if they're down there for any real length of time, like 12 months, even 8 months. We're hooped. That's 8 whole cycles that you have to be able to survive with 20 people or 20 women on their cycle at the same time. That's scary. It's almost as bad as high school, honestly. Okay, Shani's got to go and feed the animals and step away from the desk. So she needs to eat too. We'll see you later, Shani. You be well. And AP can explain the octopus smuggling. Okay, I'm waiting for it. It's a Detroit tradition. I can't type it out. My hands aren't working right now. Fair enough. Fair enough. You can fill me in later when you can, or I will just fall down that rabbit hole anyways. Mr. Q says no one should touch octopus. It's worse than illegal immigrants. What? Touching octopus is worse than touching illegal immigrants? Am I understanding that right? Red Wing should throw used women's products. Well, at least it would kind of make sense, right? Like And it's gross, very gross, but at least it would make sense. What the heck does an octopus have to do with a red wing? I don't get it. And Wild says she's going to look it up on Squidopedia. Okay, you do that. You get back to us. Mr. Q saying, I miss the old sports, period. Haven't cared about NFL, soccer, baseball, basketball, hockey, NASCAR, or anything in at least 5 years. Yeah, they all went broke, or they all went woke, rather. Honestly, the only sport that I faithfully watched was hockey. I love me some hockey, but I stopped paying for cable and I stopped going out to the bars on the regular. So I really don't have any opportunity to watch hockey games anymore. It's just, and besides which, I don't have to watch, I cannot watch hockey for years and years and years, safe in the knowledge that my team will never win a Stanley Cup. They never have won a Stanley Cup. They never will win a Stanley Cup. So no matter how long a period in between times where I'm watching them and then I stop and come back and watch them again, they're not going to do anything phenomenal and spectacular. It's not going to happen. So, at least there's that secure knowledge that my team will never change. If you're wondering, my team is the Vancouver Canucks. They're one of the OG 5 hockey teams of the NHL, and they also have never won a Stanley Cup. They get really damn close. They're very, very good at getting very, very close and then choking right at the end. I used to get really excited when they get close, but now I've learned better, and it's just, woohoo! Oh, they made it through the Western. Oh, yay, great! It doesn't matter. I know they're not going to get any further. They're not meant to win the cup, and I'm okay with that. Sinji says the classic is to conceal the octopus in a bag or under clothing. Some fans use multiple layers of plastic bags and even wrap the octopus in towels or newspapers to try to mask the smell and shape. That's what I'm saying, the smell and shape, and they're very unwieldy. They're very flippy floppy. The creative. Fans have come up with some pretty ingenious ways to sneak octopi in. One fan famously hid an octopus inside a hollowed out loaf of bread, while another used a large plush backpack. Who brings a loaf of bread to a hockey game? That in and of itself is odd as well. The bold. Some fans simply walk in with the octopus tucked under their arm, hoping that security will overlook it. It's a risky strategy, but it has been known to work on occasion. Interesting. And those answers are brought to you from Gemini AI. Thank you, Stingy. Well, there you go, Mr. Q. There's another question. So how the hell does one get an octopus in Detroit? It's not like they're completely landlocked, but I don't really think there's, I don't know. I don't know my American geography near well enough. I don't know if that's like saltwater or if it's all just Great Lakes around there. I can't remember. An all-female submarine could be called the Thunderdome. It's a good name for it, AP. Okay, so it is all Great Lakes. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. But then I thought if I say that, I'm going to be wrong, and then you guys will laugh at me. They're all going to laugh at me. There's no octopi in the Great Lakes as far as Mr. Q knows. I don't know. Are there any freshwater octopus? I don't know. Oh, Gemini AI is coming up with some more. The symbolism of the octopus. At that time, it took 8 wins to win the Stanley Cup. The octopus with its 8 tentacles was seen as a symbol of those 8 victories. Oh, interesting. See, at least there's some, it makes a little sense. The origin. It all started on April 15th, 1952, during the playoffs at Olympia Stadium. 2 brothers, Pete and Jerry Quizmano, who owned a fish market in Detroit, threw an octopus onto the ice. Thank you, Stingy. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now I know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Misty Gray cat is a special breed with soft, silky fur. The Russians used the breed to make the inside of gloves in the 16 through 1900s. Interesting. I did not know that. I'm learning all sorts of stuff today. Thanks, kids. This is awesome. Since originally there were only 60, well, there was only 5 teams. There was the OG 5 at one point that I knew of. I might be wrong though, because my Swiss cheese like brain, I might be wrong, but I could have sworn it was the original 5. I can't remember. Wild. We're asking if there's any octopus in the Great Lakes. Like, where are we going to find them? And she's coming in with the quick, sane, rational, and very, very witty. You're going to get them at the fish market. Come on. Where else would you get them? Yeah, the Great Lakes, no salt, no sharks. Okay. MJ's asking Mr. Q, how do you feel about bowling? Mr. Q, wait, so the octopus is alive? Where the hell is PETA? Why aren't they throwing a fit over this being animal cruelty? Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I don't need to get into my thoughts on PETA right now. That's right, Wild. The more you know. There are 5 fish market stores in Detroit, seafood all the time. Oh, and then he corrected himself. AB says 6. 6 fish market stores. Okay, good to know. Mr. Q says, I'm okay at bowling. Getting old, bad shoulders, though. I can only average 250 now. I can't. That's still not bad, isn't it? I can't remember. When I was bowling for any regularity, I was a child. It was a little. I can't remember. And AP says no live octopus. Okay, so they're all dead octopus at least. That's something, I guess, for the octopus. Mr. Q says the closest we get to the freshwater octopus is a thing called an eel pot or a sturgeon or a red horse or a sucker. Okay, I've heard of sturgeons. No, there were 3 to 6 original teams and 5 stores. There were 6 original teams and 5 stores. Okay. Okay. Yeah, see, that's what I said with my Swiss cheese brain. Facts get confused and mixed up together sometimes. So especially when they're numbers. Numbers like to play games and switch spots and stuff for me. But on that note, I'm actually caught up with chat, and we've been going for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So that sounds like a really great stream for me. Hopefully I've been able to keep you guys busy and entertained as you go about your early evenings or evenings, depending on where you're at. But thank you so much for hanging out with me again. And I will see you. Today is Wednesday, so I will see you all tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Pacific time, where I will be reading chapter 6 from The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. So chapter 6, 11 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow morning. And yeah, until that time, I'll see you later.
She's a curious conduct, always digging for the truth. Searching in the night, youthful heart at proof. With her shovel in hand, she roams the universe, exploring every land, no map, no reverse. Oh, digger 420, curious conduct. Answers on your mind, never getting stuck. Riding waves of stars through the cosmic sea, finding who we are in the galaxy. She's got questions to ask and a fire that won't die, unraveling each task under the